So I'm calling your church to test to see if they would help feed a starving baby. And right now I'm going to be calling the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And this one is located in Columbia, South Carolina. So we are going to call and see if they would be able to help.
Loose Caboose Strip Club, how can I help you? What? A starving baby? 1 can of formula? Well, of course we can help. Yo, Charity, can you grab a handful of those bills off the floor? We need to run to the supermarket real quick. Neighborhood dope dealer, pick your poison. Baby formula. Sure, how many grams? A can? Wait, are you actually asking for baby formula? Well, of course we can help with that. We're drug dealers, we're not monsters. Tell Nutjob the squirrels are watching us. What? Baby formula? Okay, first of all, who is this? How'd you get this number? And is Good Start okay? Because that's the only brand I have. Literally anyone who's not a sociopath, how can I help you?
All right, so apparently in 2025, the quickest way to expose American Christianity is not with theology, not with politics, not even with a Bible verse. Nope, all you need is a crying baby. Because this woman decided to run a little social experiment. Nothing crazy, she just called different places pretending her baby hadn't eaten since yesterday, with an actual baby crying audio playing in the background. You know, the sound that's supposed to activate every church's We Love Families ministry? Well, buckle up, because when she called mosques, they helped. When she called strangers, they helped. But when she called the American churches, the same ones that voted 80% for Trump because they're pro-life and love children, suddenly the spirit of love thy neighbor went on lunch break. One church said she'd have to wait days. Another wanted her to fill out a form. One literally said, "Ma'am, this feels like witchcraft." A hungry baby is witchcraft now. Just let that sit in your spirit. It's crazy how MAGA Christianity can hear a baby crying and still say, yeah, see, that's not really our department. But they'll get on TV tomorrow and scream about saving the children. Make it make sense. So today we're breaking down how the loudest Christian values voters in the country keep failing the basic Christianity test, the feed the hungry baby test, and what this experiment really exposed about MAGA, the church, and America's moral GPS. If you're new here, welcome to the chaos. This channel is where common sense meets caffeine, and we break down America's wildest socio-political moments with a little humor, a little rage, and a whole lot of Glenn energy. And to my OG viewers, you legends, thank you for making this channel stand out in a world full of nonsense. You keep my coffee addiction alive just by watching, liking, commenting, and refusing to let my blood pressure rest. All right, let's get into it. Grab your coffee. This one's messy.
I'm calling your church to test to see if they are willing to help feed a starving baby.
This woman is going viral for calling up churches saying that my baby is starving, I've run out of formula, can you help me? All of the churches say no, except so far 2 black churches and 1 mosque. And I don't want to sell this, but this feels to me like our selling of indulgences moment, where, like, you know, in the late medieval period, the church was selling indulgences, the bishops were living very lavishly, they were building these really, you know, grand cathedrals, and the poor were starving. And it was very much part of the Reformation and kind of the decline of the power of the church because they were dressed in gold and people are starving. To the point where if you were just an average person, if you supported the church, it became like embarrassing. Like, you support that? Like, that's so embarrassing for you. Like, I'm embarrassed for you. So now we're in a situation where people are being affected by the government shutdown, and here's the chance for the churches. This is the deal that we made you, that you don't have to pay taxes, and in return, you're doing soup kitchens, you're doing, you know, homeless stuff, you're doing addiction recovery, you're doing, you know, you are providing service to the community. That's the deal that we made. And it's very clear, and love her videos going viral here, that it's very clear that you have not held up your end of the deal. So there is something here. I'm feeling a vibe here. It's like the combination of like the Wall Street Journal article that shows that the Mormon Church has billions of dollars. It's an investment wing. Not a single dollar of it goes to humanitarian aid. Not a single dollar of it goes to taxes. And then, you know, people calling churches and they just saying, you know, like, we can't help you. That's not what we do. And then you combine that with kind of a blue wave. We're starting to see some fractures with this power dynamic dynamic of church and state and Christian nationalism. And historically, why this is exciting for me, I got super excited when I kind of saw her going viral, is historically when trust breaks, the public demands either reform or kind of punishment. It's essentially her calling churches saying, you claim moral authority, prove it, and then kind of hanging up on her. This happened even in Spain in the 20th century, where the church was hoarding. They had collected all of the land and they were hoarding the land and a significant amount of wealth. They got enough public support that the state was able to basically force sell-offs of the church and basically say, no, this land belongs to the public now. We may be a long way from true reform. In France, for example, they actually removed the tax-exempt status from Jehovah's Witnesses and also like retroactively taxed them, which was really interesting. We may be a long way from that because when religion combines with politics, that marriage, it's just so powerful that it takes a long time in order to break that marriage up. But we're seeing some cracks, and I think it's positive.
You know what I love about the no nonsense spirituality page on TikTok? It's in the name. No nonsense. No theatrics, no holy cosplay, just straight truth. And honestly, America could use a gallon of that right now. Because toward the end of her clip, she said something real. When religion merges with politics, disaster is inevitable. And America? America is exhibit A, B, and C. See, the mess we're in didn't come from demons or astrological retrogrades or whatever Senator John Cornyn blames things on now. It came from people who stopped using critical thinking. You know, the little brain feature that says, hey, maybe a politician should do more than just say, I love Jesus, while breaking every single thing Jesus stood for. But nope. MAGA said, he said Jesus one time at a rally, crown him king. And somehow, that's become the metric for moral leadership. Not integrity, not compassion, not competence. Just vibes and Bible quotes. That's why you've got the whole MAGA movement and organizations like Turning Point USA preaching about values while doing the exact opposite behind the scenes. Money is the motive. People are the collateral damage. And don't get me started on the tax thing, because if you've ever wondered why America's millionaires, billionaires, and mega church pastors all hold hands like they're at a Hillsong concert, here's the secret. Nobody wants to pay taxes. Churches don't get taxed. The ultra-rich barely do. It's like one giant heavenly tax shelter if you say God's name loud enough. And listen, for all my Bible scholars in the comments, yes, I know a verse or two. I know some of y'all think I'm the heathen, and honestly, I might be, but at least I read. God never once compared himself to Satan, but he did say, choose this day whom you will serve, God or mammon. Translation, pick your master, compassion or cash. And guess what American Christianity chose? I mean, look at what's happening now. Church leaders literally calling women witches because they're supporting a different political candidate. You can't make this stuff up. This isn't spirituality. This is superstition dressed in a Sunday suit. And this whole witch thing? Oh, buckle up, because the next clips you're about to see tell you everything you need to know about the shared mentality between MAGA politics and the theology these churches are pushing. Listen closely, because once you see the pattern, it's impossible to unsee.
She said, my baby is hungry. And he says,
it's a witch. And my Bible says he do not allow that thing to live.
He quotes Exodus 22:18. Do not allow a witch to live. A woman testified to what happened to her, and the pastor responds with a verse about killing women, framed as pastoral concern, but is actually a threat. As the self-identified theology witch, let me unveil what the language is doing here. Yes, Exodus 22:18 says that. It's there. A text from a patriarchal society that killed women accused of witchcraft. But you know what Jesus did when religious men wanted to kill a woman accused of sin? He said, let the one without sin woman cast the first stone. Jesus consistently sided with women. The religious authorities claimed to be dangerous, demonic, wrong. He touched them, talked to them, defended them. So when you quote Exodus 22:18 at a woman who asks for baby formula, you are following the religious authorities that Jesus stood against. And the fact that you reached for a verse about killing women in response to a woman asking for help tells me everything you think what a woman's testimony deserves. Death threats. That's your pastoral response to truth-telling. Because here's what witch meant. A woman with power that doesn't come from male authority. A woman who acts without permission. A woman whose testimony cannot be controlled. A woman who refuses to let men mediate her access to truth and her right to speak it. The woman with the hemorrhage who touched Jesus without permission is a woman the religious authorities would have called unclean, dangerous. The Canaanite woman who pushed Jesus to help her daughter would have been called pushy, out of place. Every woman who went directly to Jesus without asking the religious authorities for permission, Jesus sided with them every time. And notice what this pastor does after threatening her life.
I forgive you.
He forgives her. Threaten a woman and then offer forgiveness. By offering forgiveness, he claims the authority to judge her sin in the first place. She didn't ask for forgiveness, she asked for baby formula, but now he gets to play the merciful one, while she is the demonic threat who needs his grace. In biblical tradition, mind you, it's prophets who expose the religious leaders for failing the vulnerable, and the religious establishment always called them some version of demon-possessed and deceived. Prophecy gets called witchcraft by the people it exposes. But here's a weird thing about witches. When you threaten us, we multiply. Every time you call a woman a witch for telling the truth, you create more of us. Every time you quote verses about killing women in response to testimonies about hungry babies, you reveal that your God is not Christ. Your God is a God who kills women for testifying. And it sounds like he's been doing it for thousands of years. So yes, she's a witch, I'm a witch, there are many of us. We are the women who won't be silent about what we saw, what we experienced, what you did. We are the women who will continue exposing your theology, which makes not feeding babies sound like holiness. Just know that Jesus sided with us every time.
That, my friends, is what we call gaslighting 101. And the church? Oh, they've perfected it like a Michelin star chef perfects risotto. Now, of course, not every Christian or every church is MAGA. I can't believe I have to say that out loud, but there's always that one genius in the comments, the one who hates coffee and joy, typing, "But Glenn, stop generalizing. Not all Christians are like that." Relax, champ. We're not accusing your grandma's prayer circle of overthrowing democracy. We're talking patterns, systems, and the root causes of why America is spiritually and politically upside down. We're connecting dots. Because clearly some of y'all missed the picture day. And speaking of patterns, remember a few months ago when a certain Christian podcaster, you know, the one who co-founded that large freedom-loving organization, got publicly taken down? Yeah. And then his wife stood on stage talking about forgiveness and healing like she was auditioning for a Hallmark movie. Sound familiar? It's the same script this pastor just used. Forgiveness sprinkled on top of PR damage control, served lukewarm. But if you've been paying attention, if you've actually done your research, then you already know the internet is buzzing with claims that she might have been his handler, and that he was trying to leave the marriage. I'm not saying anything, I'm just saying people are speculating, and the pattern is looking like a Picasso painting of red flags. This is why I keep saying, the gaslighting, the theology twisting, the emotional manipulation, it's deeper than people think. Just look at history. Back in Jesus' day, religious leaders had people from Samaria so vilified that Jews weren't even supposed to talk to them, let alone help them if they were dying on the roadside. Sound familiar? Because fast forward to today and we've got the same recycled lie. Immigrants are evil. People from different cultures are dangerous. People with different religions are demonic. Remember when Vivek Ramaswamy got told by a group of MAGA Gen Z in Ohio that he couldn't be governor because he's Hindu and worships a demon? Or when they came for Zohran Mamdani, calling him a radical Muslim like they pulled the script straight from a Fox News fanfiction forum. It's the same mindset, the same fear-driven theology, the same political brainwashing, copy-pasted generation after generation. And now it's sitting in America's churches, wearing a Bible verse like a name tag.
Some of these pastors' responses to the formula experiment are unhinged. This pastor that I'm about to show you, a whole grown man with a ministry, got on the internet and thought, this is the right thing to say. I'm not even going to read it because I don't want my video to get flagged. I don't know if you guys knew this, but when Jesus fed the 5,000, he went around to each one of them and asked them what their parents' marital status was. Oh yeah, he had a whole screening process for approved sinners, and only the ones that passed got to eat. If your theology says not to feed a hungry baby because of the marital status of its mother, that is not Christianity. That is cruelty wrapped up in misused scripture. Not to mention the cognitive dissonance it takes to think that somebody asking help for food is immediately a single mother. Also, calling babies bastards in 2025 is insane. Jesus had a stepdad, for Christ's sake.
And isn't this starting to sound a whole lot like MAGA? Like, why can't she just pull herself up by her bootstraps, right? Because apparently giving a hungry baby formula is where the conservative imagination draws a hard moral line. We're pro-life, until life actually needs something. It's the wildest plot twist in American politics. They'll fight tooth and nail to force a woman to give birth, but the moment that baby needs food, healthcare, daycare, an EBT card, clean water, or a functioning school, suddenly it's, whoa there, buddy, now you're asking for socialism. And let's talk about women for a second. I am still surprised that there are women out here supporting MAGA like the movement didn't come with a terms and conditions page that literally says, warning, membership may result in you losing rights. You ever watch one of their influencers? The ones proudly saying women shouldn't vote? Like, hello, ma'am, he's talking about you. He doesn't mean hypothetical women. He means you, Brittany. You, Madison. You balls deep in Trump 2024 TikTok mom posting Bible verses in between keto recipes. These dudes want you barefoot, silent, and invisible. But somehow, there's a whole demographic of women cheering them on like it's the premiere of Barbie 2, internalized misogyny edition. But here's the real kicker. The movement that claims to protect children keeps being exposed for being full of people who don't actually protect children. Every other month, some MAGA official, pastor, influencer, or personality gets caught with minors, trafficking scandals, secret families, terabytes of explicit content, burner phones, the whole nightmare cocktail. Meanwhile, they're online lecturing everyone about morality. It's like being yelled at by a raccoon that just broke into your house. Loud, messy, and has no business talking. Let's be honest, MAGA. You're pro-birth, not pro-life, because nothing you support promotes life. Explain to me how refusing healthcare promotes life. Explain to me how banning women's bodily autonomy promotes life. Explain to me how cheering for wars, cheering for guns in every backpack, cheering for families losing SNAP, cheering for deporting workers who literally keep the country running is promoting life. It doesn't make sense unless you understand the mindset. And once you see the pattern, it gets darker. Because MAGA's whole philosophy is built on punishment, not compassion. Punish the poor, punish immigrants, punish women, punish LGBTQ people, punish anyone who doesn't fit the blueprint, punish anyone who dares to need help, punish anyone who threatens the hierarchy they worship. And guess what? A lot of churches have swallowed the same poison. That's why a crying baby doesn't move them, because empathy has been replaced with ideology.
You can always tell a person's true character by how they behave when they think no one is watching. And that is why the woman that's doing the social experiment calling different churches looking for baby formula for her fake. I mean, she doesn't have a real baby that's really starving, but she's letting on that she does and that she needs help. And the amount of churches that she has called and they have said no to her. They don't realize that it's an experiment. They don't realize that that is their behavior when they think no one is watching. They don't realize. I wonder what would happen if they knew beforehand that they were going to be exposed for the truth of how they conducted themselves and what they said and what they did. Isn't that funny? I still can't get over it.
What do you mean internet detectives have already uncovered the most disgusting stuff about that church in Michigan? We're talking about the Second Reformed Church in Kalamazoo, where a homeless woman goes in to speak to this woman, Janice. This elderly woman is also in the office of this church. Just to talk to them because she parked in this parking lot and had a sticker saying that she would be towed. And she's homeless, also disabled. So she's like, okay, they're open. I'm just gonna go talk to them and explain to them why I was trying to sleep here last night. She's very polite. She explains, I'm disabled. I get $900 a month. I have been homeless for 18 months and I'm just trying to find a safe place to sleep overnight in my vehicle. Neither of these women could care less. What makes it worse is that this woman continues to say, I'm not only going to get your vehicle towed, I'm going to call the cops. This woman starts recording her, so they are now literally recording each other to find out that's one of the pastors for this church. Same pastor that literally preaches about compassion, goodwill, and holds prayers with her congregation about how she wants the church to be a sanctuary for those in need. None of that is as shocking as what they found about this woman. Buckle up, people, because Janice is married to this man named Robert. Guess what Janice's husband is? A registered offender. But wait, it gets worse. Not only is her husband a registered offender for children, she knew he was a registered offender because his first charges started back in 2001. Exactly what charges did he get to become a registered offender? These are the charges he got in Michigan. This is public record. So what exactly does this mean, second degree? It means that the child that had to be under the age of 16 for this to qualify as a second degree was either someone he is biologically related to, a child that was living under his roof when this happened, or he was in a position of authority. It means he was either a teacher, a substitute teacher working at the school, or was in a leadership role at a church where the victim attended. I could not make this up if I tried. We're not done yet, because allegedly Janice and her husband Robert also own a local boutique where teens under the age of 16 like to shop. Mind, we're talking about multiple charges linked to this man. All of them have relationship, which either means this is a kid that was living in the house with him, this was someone who is biologically related to him, or he's related to by marriage, or he was in an authoritative position over this child and she's married to him and is still married to him. Also worth noting that the church shut down all information about their pastors and staff a year ago. All of this information has been uncovered in the last 48 hours. If you haven't seen this original video, don't worry, I got you. After I post this video, I will follow it with a shortened version of that video and tag the woman that all of this happened to.
Do you see what I'm talking about now? The hypocrisy jumps out like it's trying to win a Grammy. Those last two clips, the woman said something so real. What if these church leaders knew the cameras were rolling? Suddenly, every one of them would have turned into Mother Teresa with a ring light. They'd have lined up to help that woman and her baby like it was a church Olympics event. And that right there is exactly why Jesus was fed up with the Pharisees. The loud prayers in the streets, the "look how holy I am" performances, the fasting bragging rights, the heavy religious rules with no compassion behind them, no justice, no love, no mercy, just vibes and judgment. And this last clip, it really ties the whole thing together. It shows you this isn't just look down on the poor energy. This is the full MAGA script. The Karen attitude, the Pharisee swagger, the do as I say, not as I do hypocrisy. Look at how they judged that woman on the phone. Yet I bet you dollars to donuts the lady at that same church wasn't the one calling authorities when her man was out there doing all those naughty things. But don't worry. Just like Trump says, they'll probably tell you it's a hoax. And speaking of hoaxes, we're still waiting on those Epstein files, right? The ones they promised would drop? Mm-hmm. And now that new information is leaking, you can see some of MAGA quietly stepping away from the man they've treated like a second messiah. Will they finally see the light? Who knows? But before we go, I'm going to leave you with a clip from one of my favorite creators, Mr. Brad Doggett, because that man has a way of saying what needs to be said without pulling a single punch. And if you made it to the end of this video, you are a lifesaver, a caffeine sponsor, a warrior, a patriot of good taste and excellent judgment. I can't thank you enough for watching, liking, commenting, and keeping this channel running at 3,000 milligrams of coffee per hour. All right, I'll shut up now. Over to Brad's clip, and let's see if we actually get those files released in full this time. Take care.
We're now getting word that Donald Trump has summoned Lauren Boebert because he apparently is trying to block the release of the Epstein files. Then there's ridiculous nonsense provisions in the bill to open the government that Trump signed yesterday. Fucking embarrassing. So what this all looks like is A, you don't give a fuck about anybody except billionaires. That's all you give a shit about. The average American basically means nothing to you. That's what that tells me. So I have to say, my disappointment with Donald Trump has turned almost parabolic recently. As much as I like a lot of Trump's plans, the trolling, the memes, and the badass videos are not enough to stay off the fact that, well, we're kind of getting as an American population here. So we can make fun of liberals all day, but that's not restoring America, and that's not bringing upward mobility to the population. Release the goddamn Epstein files!
Guys, it's happening. Trump supporters are finally starting to turn on Donald Trump. And the reason for that is it turns out you can't just march out in front of the cameras and tell the American people that higher prices are fake news and Jeffrey Epstein is a hoax made up by Democrats. Now, there might be a few blind loyalists that can get behind that, but to everybody else, that is objectively ridiculous. And after Trump's interview on Fox News with Laura Ingraham, where he talked about 50-year mortgages and how we need to bring in immigrants from other countries to work here because we don't have the talent here in America, Trump's supporters are finally realizing that he is not America first. He is billionaire first. Now, I'm not sure if these people are ready to jump ship just yet, but I am seeing disillusioned Trump supporters all over TikTok at this point, and I've been screen recording all of them. So let me know if you want to see more where this came from. All right? Okay. Love you guys. Talk soon.